Hello, and welcome to the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. I am your host and beat reporter, and I have been your beat reporter covering the Jaguars for On SI every single day since August 2019, and we are continuing to move forward to another offseason together. As always, you can always find our 100% free 24/7 boots on the ground coverage of the Jaguars when you find us on social media such as Facebook and Twitter at Jaguars on SI. You can also find us at www.si.com/NFL/Jaguars. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. As always, I'm John Shipley. Latest bit of Jaguars news to come out. Jaguars fourth-round running back Bhayshul Tuten reportedly signed his rookie contract, according to NFL Network's Mike Garafolo. Tuten, of course, the Jaguars' first pick in the fourth round, a first pick of a very busy day three for the Jaguars over this past draft. I'd say if you consider, the fantasy football focus on Tuten, probably one of the most talked about Jaguars in NFL circles. And by NFL circles, I mean, obviously, analysts, social media, etc., not within the actual NFL. But Tuten is the latest to sign his contract, does so a couple days after Travis Hunter did. I believe that leaves just Jack Kaiser left to sign his rookie deal. Like I said to you guys before, when somebody asked me about the Jaguars and why it's taking, quote unquote, so long for everybody to sign, it's not really taking long, in my opinion, until it starts bleeding into training camp, stuff like that. Obviously, it's different if you have a Shamar Stewart-like situation, but the Jaguars don't have one of those. They are not going to anytime soon. The Cincinnati Bengals are one of one in terms of organizational issues when it comes to how they spend their money. Now, as for Tuten, obviously, he's a guy who I think over the course of the offseason, you saw stand out closer to the end of it. I'd say minicamp is probably, compared to OTAs, where he maybe stood out the most. Now, of course, as a running back, it's hard to stand out in offseason practices, in my opinion, unless you're catching passes out of the backfield. I think that just the sheer nature of the running back position in the running game, that without pads on, without there being contact, it throws off the whole ebb and flow, the timing of everything. Obviously, some guys shine with contact. Think Bigsby, of course, being one of them. And that's why, to me, I think anybody trying to make any proclamations, necessarily on what a guy's role will be, how they stack up, etc., it's probably a little early right now. Now, I, of course, have said that my belief is that Travis Etienne will be the closest thing the Jaguars have to a number one running back. I'm not really sure if they're even honestly going to have one. Like, for instance, people love comparing, in my opinion, this running back situation in this backfield to the backfield that Liam Cohen had last year in Tampa Bay with the Buccaneers. To me, it's different because, Bucky Irving coming in, there was only one guy who he really had to kind of take the snaps away from. When it comes to Tuten, at least in my opinion, he has to fight both Etienne and take Bigsby for those snaps. It's not, the pie, the percentage of the snaps isn't being distributed just amongst two guys who each get plenty of work. I know Bucky Irving was the lead back last year, but Rashad White still, got plenty of work throughout the season. I don't think that when you're looking at the Jaguar situation, it is all too similar, because I do think that they can find usage. I think Bigsby. I think obviously they can still get the mileage out of Travis Etienne as he enters his contract year with the Jaguars. So when it comes to Tuten, I think it very well could be a case of they go with who's hot. Tuten has a lot of metrics that go his way. He was one of the nation's best players at forced missed tackles, yards after contact, stuff like that. And you saw him, like I said, over the course of the offseason program. I think it was either the last or the second to last minicamp practice. He had his best run of the program. It was a zone run. He found the cutback lane, put his foot in the dirt, and then you saw that explosiveness. You saw that 0 to 100 miles per hour, and it was very impressive. Now, to me, it very well could be a matter of who's hot that week or whether it's a game plan thing. The backfield, at least in my opinion right now, it's tough to project anything other than all of them will play, in my opinion, at some point. Buccaneers had an interesting setup last year. Obviously, Bucky Irving and Rashad White was no Tuten / Bigsby / ETN, but they did show that Liam Cohen is willing to not just lean on multiple guys, but he's also willing to let the running backs be on the field at the same time, which I think is absolutely massive for them. So, even last year, they had 3 different running backs hit 50 carries. Bucky Irving had 207, Rashad White had 144, and then Sean Tucker had 50. Sean Tucker averaged 6.2 yards a run. Very, very explosive guy. So I think that there is a scenario where it looks like its own individual offense. It looks like just something completely different from what we saw in Tampa Bay. But then I also think there's a scenario where maybe Tuten is the Sean Tucker of the offense, at least for a year. Tucker played 50 games. He had 50 carries, 9 catches. So, 59 touches, 417 yards, had 3 touchdowns. I would say I expect Tuten to get more carries than that. But in terms of, do I see his numbers that much drastically different? I'm not sure I do at this moment in time. But just in terms of pure home run ability, that alone could make Tuten's touches that much more effective. He is a spark plug. That speed is very real. Not many running backs in the entire NFL have the speed that he brings to the backfield. So, and the fact that, again, I've mentioned this before, but the fact that they were clearly searching for a different kind of element to add to the running back room, whether it was reportedly by Mike Silver, Ashton Genty being, next man up option in terms of who they would have taken at number 5, or Michael Silver also reported that Liam Cohen wanted RJ Harvey at number 70 before he got picked earlier than that by the Denver Broncos. It's clear the Jaguars wanted to add something to the backfield this season. So it'll be interesting to see how they, really deploy all of these guys. It's a much deeper running back room than I think they've had in the last couple of years, because you can see where every guy can kind of come in. ETN can kind of do a little bit of everything. He can be a zone guy early downs. He, on passing downs, can catch out in the backfield. Obviously, Tuten had some really good reps as a pass protector at Virginia Tech. I think he still has a little bit go ways to go as a pass catcher. But then you even look at Quentin Allen, excellent pass catcher, excellent pass blocker, and then think Bigsby. He is the literal tank of the unit. He is the tough-nosed downhill guy who I think they will use on their gap scheme runs. So it's a very interesting backfield. And now that he is signed, Bhayshul Tuten is now officially 100% part of it. It will be interesting to watch how his rookie season unfolds. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. Please remember to go like and subscribe on all of your podcast platforms.